Okay, let's talk about the change experience. I have given this talk in 100 ways over the years. I've done keynotes, I've opened training classes with it, I've opened team health workshops with it. Over and over and over, I find that calibrating people on the change experience is a very important way to help people label and find meaning and understanding in their experience. It's just really helpful to people. So sometimes I work with teams who've been reorganized, and I start the conversation as they figure out their goals and their strat plan with this change experience story. Sometimes groups are preparing for change. A new project is doing an initiative, and I come in and I talk to them about what the change experience is, so they understand what it is they're managing and what they can expect. And so this conversation, it's use it, right? Use this slide, use this story to help people understand where they are and give definition and labels to the different places that you are in your process. Okay, so let's dive in the change experience. Change, most change starts with an idea. And it's kind of an interesting thing to pause and think about. Most change starts with an idea, and an idea to get a new job, an idea to buy a new car, an idea to start a family, an idea to join a new church, an idea to learn to play the guitar. Like somewhere, an idea crosses our mind. And some of those ideas have weight, and they are more than just a fleeting wish. And we're actually curious about that. And so from the moment we have the idea and it has some weight, what do we start doing? I have the idea that I want to learn to play the guitar, right? Well, now I get curious and I start digging and I start figuring out, well, what would it take to learn to play the guitar? Is there someone to teach me to play the guitar? Where would I do that? What kind of guitar do I want to play? I don't play the guitar, but maybe you do. And I do research and I dig. And I ask people like, hey, I know you play the guitar. How'd you learn? Who might teach me, right? And we do this from idea, we dig and we analyze and we gather input and we gather data and we get opinions and we read reviews and we dig until we have enough data, enough evidence, and enough calibration with our wishes and our desires to make a decision. Eventually we decide like, wow, I'm going to play the guitar. And I'm going to start lessons in October. And I'm going to play this kind of guitar and I want to play this kind of music. And I'm going to invest this much time per week doing it. I've decided. And it's interesting because there can be no time between the idea and the decision, or tons of times. Like some ideas between the idea and the decision is years, right? If you have an idea that you want to buy a guitar, you can have that idea and drive down to the guitar store and buy one and have that whole thing from idea to decision done in about 45 minutes, maybe 15 if you live in a small town. The first time that I had the idea to start my own business was probably 20 years ago. I was working in an organization. There was a lot of process issues. There's a lot of people issues. There's a lot of leadership issues. I'm like, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to be a consultant and we're going to help people manage change and we're going to clean up these organizations. And I'm going to call it the Cleaning Ladies. It's a great name. And then for me personally, it was probably 20 years between the first time I had that idea and I actually made the decision to start Slingshot25. And that's all fine. And that's good. But that creates some challenge in business, right? Because at work, ideas are actually what? Rumors. And sometimes we are exploring options. There's strategic opportunities. Those are also ideas. And we have a big space between ideas and decision. You start to see confusion and conflict maybe arise in the organization because some people think that something's an idea and other people think it's a decision. And you see conflict because people are like, why are you doing that? Well, you've decided. I didn't decide. And it's also where you start to see an unveiling or an uprooting, like this, the roots come out of the earth of where we have decision right clarity that's needed because the organization, because of maybe org structure changes or politics or other things, there aren't clear lines of decision right authority. And more than one person thinks they have authority, power, influence, control over something that another person also thinks they have. And so you see struggle and pain between the idea and decision in your work, in your teams, on your projects. And then you just have a whole mess of things. We're going to talk more like in the full change course, the practitioner program. We have a whole lesson, a lot more detail on decisions and why they're critical to manage decision making and influence decision making in the change process, how you communicate decisions, how you hold people accountable to decisions. Like that's all deeper stuff that we're going to get to in the crash course, but it's essential because before you even get into the messy middle, how your organization decides is already setting the tone for success or failure about how the change is going to be adopted and managed. The next phase, I have an idea, I have a decision, let's assume we have one. Then there's space before the change event. The change event is the moment in time when the old thing stops and the new thing begins. Old thing stops, new things begins. And if you're thinking about someone, if any of you have been rock climbing, like there's a space and time when I move from one, I've never done this, I'm not a rock climber, but when I move from one rock to the other, then I actually have to let go a little bit. There's a little bleep of time where I'm in free fall. It's completely unsafe. If you step from the dock to a boat, you're firmly on the dock, and then you step into the boat, that little moment where you have a foot in each place. What's going on in your stomach when the old thing stops, the new thing begins, right? You have butterflies, you have nervousness, you have anxiety. And when we get to those moments, whether it's a system implementation, an acquisition, a day one, name your thing, the change event, the moment, like we have a retirement or we have a promotion, when the old thing stops, the new thing begins, that is a pivotal moment in our projects. And we talk more extensively about this in the change course as well, but most projects have multiple change events. There are big things happening where the old thing's going to stop and the new thing's going to begin. Our projects are not as simple as maybe, picking up a guitar, right? That's a little more complicated than we're going to cover in the crash course, but you get this, right? Like the old thing stops, the new thing begins, a change event. And when there's a lot of time between the idea, the decision, the event, what kind of things? Just think about what's going on in your organizations. What kind of stresses, what kind of conversations, what kind of conflict, what kind of friction starts to come up when we've decided something and now we're waiting, we're planning, we're preparing for the actual moment in time when that change event's going to happen and the old thing's going to stop and the new thing begins. From the moment we experience a change event, we move into the messy middle. If you've had any training in change management at all, you've seen the J curve, right? The J curve, the messy middle, the dip, it is a visual representation that it's meant to represent the fact that when the old thing stops and the new thing begins, there's a period of time where productivity suffers, quality suffers, and morale suffers because we are learning. We're in a learning curve. Our processes aren't capable yet. We're in a maturity curve. We have unclear expectations. We're in a role maturity curve. And so in the messy middle, every piece of the old going out and the new going in just feels a little messy. Just feels a little messy. When that old thing stops, the new thing begins. We're going to talk in a separate lesson on loss. Letting go of that old thing creates loss for people. That is part of change. From an idea and decision point, people are already starting to think about, if this happens, when this happens, what am I going to lose? What am I attached to, needing, comfortable with in the current state that is going to be a loss for me when we actually get to the change event and the old thing stops, the new thing begins. And then we're in the messy middle. In the messy middle is where you'll see unclear expectations, processes that aren't mature, leadership conflict, as people are trying to figure it out, learning curve, right? Frustration, tiredness, all this stuff goes on in the messy middle. But then something starts to happen, right? We move into this mode each day in the messy middle, each day after the change event. We come to work and we learn things and we figure things out and we get access to tools and we steadily, hopefully, start to climb out. We figure out the answer. We successfully complete the transaction. We meet the new boss. We have the team building things. We start to build trust with a new department, right? Step, 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 step. We climb our way out. And we climb and climb and climb until hopefully we reach a place that is more productive, more better than the place we were before. If we don't end up climbing out to a place that was better than when we started, why do we do this at all? Right now we're in the 20%. We're actually more productive. We have better quality. We're doing cooler things for customers. Our products are better. Our reach is stronger. Our scope is bigger. Our scalability is higher. Whatever we wanted, we're achieving it, right? We get to that place. This is the change experience. And the beautiful thing about human beings is it doesn't matter if it's a work-related project or watching your children grow or something that's going on in your church or with your pets. Like, we are constantly changing. We're constantly going through this experience of, hey, I have an idea. I want to build a new house. Oh, where should we live? Let's move. Let's find a hairdresser and a new school and a park and a place to walk and a place to shop, right? All messy middle kind of things. We move until eventually we've lived there long enough that we know where to go and we've established routine and we've made friends and we're living our new life in that new location. You see how that goes? And our work, it's, guys, this is like a pipe, right? It looks like waterworks, city works. If you went to the water sanitation system in your town, you would see tons of pipes, but your work looks like city works. It's got hundreds of pipes. There are tons of things going in your life, or on some of them you're at an idea, and on some of them you're at the decision. Sometimes you're going through the change event, and for a whole lot of it, you are in the messy middle for sure. And day by day, you're climbing out of that. This is the change experience. So your homework, right? Your opportunity is to go take a look at what you're noticing. What are you experiencing? Where are you in the change experience for your projects or something that's going on? What resonates in this picture for your team, for your project, for your organization? And then I'd also invite you is look at the picture again and practice a little empathy. Where are others? We do not go through the change experience at the same rate as our peers. We don't go the same rate as our bosses. We don't go the same rate as our employees. We all can, on the same change, can be at a different phase of this. So where are they? That's your lesson on the change experience. Go see what you see.